this video, you're going to learn how to format your roadmaps. We're going to start out in a timeline view, as your options are slightly different depending on the view type you select, timeline or Swimlane. To modify the format, click the Format icon on the right-hand side of the page. You'll see that there are 3 tabs in the Format area. The Layout tab, which is the central menu for organizing the layout of your roadmap. You can see here you can adjust your headers and the theme of the roadmap, as well as the way that items and milestones display. Your Colors tab, which allows you to change the color palette of your roadmap. And the Dates tab, which allows you to adjust the start and end dates that show on the roadmap as well as their details. You'll notice when you create a timeline view, all timelines start out with just the time pivot, which gives you only a one-dimensional view of your roadmap items. That's where these timeline headers come in. They allow you to add another pivot to a timeline by grouping items vertically on any field in the roadmap, in addition to plotting them horizontally along a timeline. If you want, you can actually add both a header and a subheader to a timeline in order to further organize items in each grouping by an additional field. You can see here in this design process view, our first header is by designer. If I want to adjust this, I'll simply go into the header dropdown, click Change Header, and choose a new field to group it by. You can use any existing roadmap field as well as parent items if you have those. You can also add a subheader here. Again, choose an existing field, such as phase, for example, to add a subheader to the roadmap. You can also clear it here. Some additional header items, you can combine any multi-select headers, which means any headers that have a multi-select dropdown for the field type. You can also hide any empty headers. You can adjust the theme of the roadmap. You can leave it as is, or you can make it compact. If you're using any number fields on your roadmap to note the progress of any items, you can adjust the way the item progress looks. If you click into this dropdown, you can choose any field that you use to mark the item's progress and select it. Once you do, it shows that percentage on the roadmap. You can adjust the way the label looks on your items and choose a different field to display. It does by default choose item name, but you can choose any other account field or roadmap field you'd like, and it will change that for you. If you'd like to add additional context to the item when users come to your timeline view, this label suffix will allow you to pick an additional field to display on the item. If you select it, you can again choose an account field or roadmap field to add as a suffix. We'll go ahead and put this date in here. And you see now my items get an additional field to show more context. You can adjust the size of your labels. By default, they'll be at this regular setting, but if you'd like, you can make them large or extra large. In this dropdown here, you can determine whether or not you'd like just items to show on the roadmap, just milestones to show on the roadmap, or both items and milestones. Because this is a timeline view, you are able to import milestones and have them display. By default, it'll display both items and milestones. But if you want to adjust this, click into the dropdown and you can select one. For example, maybe I don't want my milestones to show. If I select items, you'll notice that those get removed. In the key date labels dropdown, if you are using key dates, this allows you to customize how those display in your timeline view. Click into the dropdown and you can either choose to show titles and dates, just the title, dates only, or you can turn labels off completely for key dates. You can also hide or show milestone labels, hide or show milestone dates, and hide or show linked items. In the Colors tab, you can customize the colors on the roadmap. This is a really great option if your organization uses its own branding or custom colors and you'd like to implement those. You can either use the base color palette, which is the default in strategic roadmaps, or you can choose a roadmap field to color by. Coloring by a roadmap field allows you to create a color-based pivot in addition to the time and field header pivots. On my roadmap, I've chosen to use the phase field as my color by. However, if I choose designer instead, you'll see that this aligns by the designers of each of my items instead. You can also adjust the color palette you're using on your roadmap. We're using the citrus palette in this view, but there are several that Strategic Roadmaps comes with. You can also add a custom palette and use that. Something important to remember is that custom palettes are fully shared with all members of your team across all roadmaps. This checkbox, Header Inherits Item Color, allows you to make the colors of the column headers match the colors you choose for the items in the Items section of the tab, down here. As you can see, you can delve into each and every piece of the roadmap and choose its colors. You also can adjust the icons and colors of each milestone that you're using. The last tab, Dates, allows you to adjust the start and end dates that appear on your roadmap, as well as some of the settings around how the dates appear. Your start and end dates are the first and last dates that appear on this timeline view. If you'd like to change your start date, simply click into the box and choose a different date on the calendar picker. The same goes for the end date. If you want to adjust your date label, you can either keep it at calendar year or fiscal year. You can check this box to show today's line on the timeline. If you change your date label to fiscal, you can adjust the format of the fiscal year. If you're showing weeks on your timeline by checking this box, you can adjust your week start day and the way the week label is formatted. Now that we've learned how to adjust the formatting of the timeline view, let's go to the Swimlane view and look at the formatting options there. You'll use the same format icon to open up the format settings for your Swimlane view. There are some similarities here, but because your items in your Swimlane view are represented by cards, you have a little bit more customizations around how those display. In the View Layout section, you can adjust the direction of your header. You can also choose whether you keep the standard theme or the compact theme. In the column header dropdown, you can choose what field to use for your column header. You can choose an existing field, use your item dates, or use parent items. You can also adjust your row header. We're going to switch this to be item dates, and we'll make it be months for the start date. And you'll see now, instead of having the field as our column header, we now have the item start dates. You can turn off and on grid lines, decide to hide or show empty headers, and combine multi-select headers here as well. For your card customizations, you can adjust pretty much anything that displays on the roadmap. If you want to adjust the title size, you can go all the way from small to extra large. In your title text display, you can have it either show more or less. You can adjust the title on your card, so that's this bold text here. It's going to be the item name by default, but if you'd like to change it to another roadmap field or a date, you can do that as well. You also can add additional labels onto your cards like we did in the timeline view. It just allows you to pick another piece of data to display by default on the item card. Let's say, for example, you want dates on there. You can click Date, and you'll see now it adds that too. Since we have that field that notes our item progress, that completion field, you can also choose for that to display. And then you have these toggles on the bottom to hide and show certain aspects of your item, such as the date bucket, the description, and the item details. In your Colors tab, you can do just like we did in Timeline View and adjust the colors that show on your roadmap. You can choose to color by a roadmap field or use the base color palette. The base color palette's colors are going to be whatever you select for the palette in this dropdown here. Again, Strategic Roadmaps has several palettes you can choose from, and you can create your own palettes as well. You can turn this off for the column header to inherit the item color. And if you expand your headers and item section, you can reorder the colors of your different items. The last tab, Dates, allows you to customize the way dates display in your Swimlane view. If you have the date label set to fiscal year, you can adjust the label style for the fiscal year as well. If you do decide to use weeks as your column or row header, you can choose your week start date and the format of the week label. If you go to your view that has all of your items as a table, you'll see the format icon here as well. There's very limited format settings on your table layout, just because it's not where you're creating your roadmap visualizations, but you'll see you do have options here to customize this in the way you'd like. Thanks for watching.